Scott,
Yeah.
Waters,
Here.
Capron,
Sure.
Gretkin,
Here.
Moore.
Here. Second.
Oh, no, come on here. Sorry about that, I was conducting business. I move we go into closed session, the city council discuss strategy with council about matters that are presently in litigation because public disclosure would likely be to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the city in that litigation.
Second.
Waters,
Aye.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Scott.
Aye. I make a motion to go into closed session, the city council discuss strategy with council about matters where litigation is imminent because public disclosure would be likely to prejudice or disadvantage the position of the city in that litigation.
Second.
Capron,
Aye.
Gretkin,
Did you say
Aye.
that, Jimmy?
Moore,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
9 o'clock.
Aye.
Waters, Capron.
Aye.
Call the roll, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dr. Malone. Terry, come on up.
Terry, I didn't recognize you there.
Trying to go for a different look.
Western Iowa Tech Community College, which offers members of this community more than 70 programs of study that can accumulate in 58 different associate degrees or 87 different certificates and diplomas. And whereas Western Iowa Tech is estimated overall economic impact of $20 million to the Siouxland community on an annual basis. And whereas for more than 50 years, Western Iowa Tech has offered services that benefit our entire community, including training for job seekers, courses that transfer to colleges and universities, GED preparation courses, customized training for local companies, financial aid and scholarships and contributions to the local economy. Now therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim April 2018 as Community College Awareness Month in Sioux City and urge all our citizens to recognize the contributions community colleges such as Western Iowa Tech Community College brings to our community. I'd like to present this to you, say a few words, and thank you for all the good things you do to make our community better. Thank you. Say a few words.
Sure. Well, I very much appreciate the partnership that we have with the city, the support that we get from the city. Western Iowa Tech Community College has recently gotten a few awards that we're really proud of. We're one of 4 community colleges ever to receive the designation of Apple Distinguished School. And that is something that Apple doesn't give out very lightly. Western Iowa Tech also was named one of the top 10 digital innovative community colleges. So we have tech in our middle name, and we take it very seriously. And so we really are trying to work on the workforce in this area, and I certainly know that the partnership, certainly Mayor with you and everyone on the council as well as the city administration really makes our job a lot easier. I know every time we come to you for some help and assistance and guidance, you're always there to give that, and we very much appreciate it. And it really helps people in Siouxland to have access to world-class education. We also have 10 of our programs. So we have about 70 programs. 10 of them are nationally ranked in the top 10 in the nation for community colleges. There's about 1,200 community colleges in the nation. So we certainly think that you can get a world-class education, and we wouldn't be able to do it without partners, many of which are in the room, but also certainly with the city.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
We have a proclamation that reads, where alcohol is the most commonly used addictive substance in the United States and excessive drinking is responsible for more than 4,300 deaths among underage youth each year. And whereas kids who have conversations with their parents and learn a lot about the dangers of alcohol and drug use are 50% less likely to use alcohol and drugs than those who don't have such conversations. Whereas 26% of the high school seniors in our community have used alcohol in the past 30 days and 15% have consumed 5 or more drinks in a row. Now therefore, I, Robert E. Scott, Mayor of the City of Sioux City, Iowa, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim April 2018 as Alcohol Awareness Month in Sioux City, and call upon our citizens, nonprofit organizations, parents, youth, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, healthcare agencies, and schools to be somebody and join together to prevent alcohol abuse among our youth and adults. I'd like to present this to you. Say a few words if you would, okay?
All right. So hi everyone, my name is Brittany Book and I'm with Siouxland Cares about substance abuse. So April marks Alcohol Awareness Month, and the purpose is to raise public awareness about the use of alcohol and how it may be affecting individuals, families, businesses, and our communities. So on behalf of Siouxland Cares, I would like to thank the City of Sioux City for your partnership toward a safe, healthy, and drug-free community. Through this partnership, we have been able to coordinate the Sioux City Mayor's Youth Commission, which we have quite a few of them here with us today, and Young Ambassadors programs. We conduct a youth survey in conjunction with all of our area schools, and a variety of other social media and traditional awareness efforts. Our results from these initiatives have been overwhelmingly positive and would not be possible without your support. Additionally, with that, we invite you to join us again for our family-friendly wiffle ball tournament this year on Sunday, August 26th. We hope to see you all there, and thank you for your support.
Thank you for all you do. I just want to add, Dr. Merrill, on Western Iowa Tech, I just want to add that when we're to do those jobs that are needed in the Siouxland area. So I just want to commend you and your staff and your team for all of the good work you do to make Siouxland a more successful at its workforce recruitment. So thank you.
All right, Shirley McLeod, please come forward and tell us why you want to serve on the Senior
Advisory.
Advisory Board.
That's okay. Yes, my name is Shirley McLeod, and I live at 2510 Isabella Street here in Sioux City. A lot of you know that I was on the Human Rights Commission for 6 years, and I think this is a new venture that I would like to try. It's a new commission, and I would like to see what they do and how they're starting out. And I just think it would be a good venture.
I'm glad you applied. You have my support. I'm just going to tell you up front. We've talked about this. You've been very active, and when on the commissions and boards you've served on over the years, Shirley, you've been very dedicated and loyal to the city of Sioux City. I think you'd be a great addition to that committee.
Well, I've learned a lot about the city. I'll tell you a lot more than I really realized that happens.
Shirley's a former employee, too, of the city of Sioux City, you know.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
she
was
was
with
in word
the
processing.
part-time with the police department as their transcriber for 10 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
And that
There
was
are
a
openings?
real eye-opener.
I'm sure,
There
but
is
always a
one
good
open, correct?
employee.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just think you'd be a great addition. I just want to state that because we talked about it. So thank you for keeping your application in, and because we keep those, what, for about 9 months after they're filed? Is that
18 months.
18 months, so.
all right, well, thank you for coming down.
thank you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Shirley.
Due to an error in publication by the Sioux City Journal, the hearings regarding the rezoning of the following properties will be rescheduled for Monday, May 7th, 2018. 1501 Floyd Boulevard, 4227 Correctionville Road, Prescott Street adjacent to 2106 West 2nd Street, and 3500 and a half Hale Street. So if you're here for any of those items, we apologize. We tried to get it into the Journal. We were not successful, so we have to wait and do them at a later date. With that, we'll move to the consent agenda, which is items today 2 through 17G. Assume they're going to pass unanimously unless a council member asks for a separate vote. If you want to come up and speak on this, on any of these items or any item on the agenda, come up as I read that. State your name and address so it can be used for the record. If you want to speak on an item not on the agenda, please come up under citizen concerns. Again, state your name and address. I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
2 is a reading of the city council minutes of April 9, 2018. 3 is a motion appointing Dave Hofer to the Environmental Advisory Board for a 3-year term expiring December 31st, 2020. 4 is a resolution approving the Pierce Quarter Facade Improvement Program funding property at 1101 Pierce Street. 5 is a resolution adopting plans and specifications for the Big Sioux Trail Phase 1 project. A is a resolution, 6 actions relating to grants. A is a resolution authorizing an application for a commercial services vertical infrastructure grant to assist in the hangar refurbishment and a new construction at the Sioux Gateway Airport. B is a resolution authorizing application for an airport improvement program grant to assist the North Ramp Access Taxi Lane Project at Sioux Gateway Airport. C is a resolution authorizing an application for the Airport Improvement Program grant for the North General Aviation Ramp Access Taxiway Grass Island Project at the Sioux Gateway Airport. D is a resolution authorizing an application for the Airport Improvement Program grant for Taxiway C Paved Shoulder Project at the Sioux Gateway Airport. E is a resolution authorizing an application for an Airport Improvement Program grant to assist in Hangar 802 refurbishment project at the Sioux Gateway Airport. F is a resolution authorizing applications for the FTA for federal transportation assistance. G is a resolution approving an application for annual consolidated transit assistance funding with IDOT. 7 are actions relating to street closures. A is a resolution temporarily closing various streets in the downtown area on May 20th for the Bishop Heelan School graduation reception. 6 on May 4th for the Fallen Project sponsored by the Police Officers Association at the Orpheum Theater. C is a resolution temporarily closing various streets in Peters Park area from May 15th to May 20th for the Morningside Day celebration. 8 are civil penalties and suspensions. A is a resolution assessing a $500 civil penalty against Hunan Palace Chinese Restaurant, 3523 Singing Hills Boulevard for violation of the beer, wine, and liquor laws. B is a resolution assessing a $500 civil penalty against Shanghai Palace, 3146 Singing Hills Boulevard for violation of the beer and wine and liquor laws. C is a resolution setting a hearing for $300 penalty against White Oak Station number 55, 2930 Gordon Drive for violation of the Iowa liquor laws. D is a resolution setting a hearing of a $300 civil penalty against Greenville Pharmacy, 2705 Correctionville Road for violation of the Iowa cigarette laws. 9 are actions relating to agreements and contracts. A is a resolution awarding a contract to Nelson Construction for the Discovery Parking Ramp Repair Project. B is a resolution approving amendment number 2 to the consulting services agreement with Bacon Creek Design for the Big Sioux River Trail Phase 1 project. I can't let this one go, Doug, when I've hammered others. We're up to 30-some%, I think I read. I don't have it right in front of me right now. Who's in charge here of this project? Nobody that's here? We're going to take all your projects away and give them the engineering department because these fees are out of control.
I don't disagree on this one. There wasn't a whole lot we could do with it. Matt Salvatore, Parks and Recreation Director. The design and construction administration by itself was 17%. The thing that made this project 39%, their overall fee is 39%, but 81,000 is directly affected by Army Corps of Engineer permits, Mid-American easement requirement that caused some redesign, and some private property easement requirements. We find out we had to do some redesign after the fact. We had some draining issues that need to be addressed. So,
why would the private property have to be redesigned?
Because the drainage from some apartments was not. We didn't know where the private lines were. So when we were told where the private lines were, we had to factor that into the design for the project. Private storm. Doug, do you know anything about that?
Yeah, explain it, because I don't understand that. You guys had a GIS on this before you started, so all this stuff now all of a sudden comes into play, which makes no sense to a layman like me, especially when I'm looking at 39% fees and nobody else around here will probably say anything, but it's kind of what I do.
I expected that.
Thank you. That's
Doug
why you're
Rose.
here, I'm sure. But.
Doug Rose, Bacon Creek Design. We just found out at the very tail end that the apartments that are on the Leper property have foundation drainage.
They're what?
Foundation drainage. drain lines, tile
Yeah.
around the outside perimeter of the house. So
Yeah,
that's where most of that came from, is redesigning that system.
on those apartments where I think I'm talking, you're not close to them where your trail is.
Oh, yeah. Yes, right next to them. Yeah.
Yeah,
there you
because
go.
then it turns and goes north right there.
Yeah, makes a real sharp bend and goes practically through that property. It does go through the property. So that was part of it. The big chunk of that, Bob, is the core was a hydraulic analysis, all kinds of stuff that we.
It bothers me that there's just no nice way to say this. It looks like we go in cheap and then all of a sudden, all these things come up and it costs us more than to engineer the whole project, which is hard for a layman to understand, that you're getting more fee now for some change orders than you got for your original $14,200 worth of design.
Well, and I
There's also-
understand your point about the leper property. I don't understand the core side of it, how we didn't anticipate that. If you're saying that's the lion's share of this, that's what I agree with the mayor, that I just don't understand. How
That
we
was a
didn't
part of the
anticipate-
original proposal, though.
Oh, okay.
Was,
I'm just saying that's what drove that percentage up. So the original contract was,
That added on to it.
the
Okay.
original contract was for 74,000.
No, added things to it like construction management and those sort of things, right?
The original contract was for $74,272. Amendment number 1 was done July 10, 2017 for $55,000, which included construction administration and some additional hydraulic analysis.
but it also.
So what are we
included
talking about the
inspection.
core then now?
47,000.
So 19 was additional.
And
Well, I must say this memo was about the most difficult one I've ever tried to figure out what we're doing. I will give you credit for that. It was difficult at best to even know what dollar amount we have at the end here, but
part of the 55, Bob, was in construction inspection also. It was not-
36,000
It was
something.
not the design work.
Correct.
It was
I
actually the
understand that,
inspection.
but again, why didn't we know core? If the core was in there, why are we all of a sudden saying that's why it's additional now? We knew Mid-America was there, why all of a sudden are we saying that's different now?
The Mid-American,
Yeah.
we didn't receive the easement language till the end of November, and that's when the adjustment needed to be made as far as how much could be excavated through that area.
Yeah,
Well, why would we have done
Well-
much design until we knew that?
We didn't know the core, am I reading this right, that we didn't know the 8,400?
8,400 was tied to the private property.
The changes and plans needed to be verified with the Corps of Engineers permit. Those additional requirements will increase the agreement by 8,400. Oh, but it's under the private property easements, I see that.
Yes.
But the last two sentences would indicate, or at least it reads like it's through the Corps. Or due to the Corps.
They just need to be verified that we didn't need to modify the permit, which we did not.
Oh, okay, so it's talking about the private property, but it's just saying.
Right.
I see how your hands are tied, Matt, but I agree with the mayor that it's just frustrating that much of the cost of the project goes toward that aspect of it, you know what I mean? I think that's extraordinarily frustrating for myself.
Staff as well. If we had a trail project that doesn't include any interaction with the Army Corps of Engineers and private properties, those projects are much simpler and much cheaper.
And we're paying them all this money and they still can't give us permits, right, Mr. Carney?
We'll move on. C is a resolution approving an engineering service agreement with JEO Consulting for the Zenith Water Treatment Plant chemical improvements. Will there ever be a day when we're done with chemical improvements at the water plant, or is it just one of those things that we're gonna do every year? Because we've had one of these a year since I've been back. Windows, then permagnate, then chlorine, then holding tanks. When are we done? Because we did a master plan of this project before I got elected. I remember it. You went out back, built that building, you did a master plan of everything. But now it's ongoing.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Brad Pitts, Water Plant Superintendent. We had a couple different chemical improvement projects again that have been, but those projects were pushed out. We are in the process of doing another master plan. We don't know what the outcome of that will be at this time, but we should know by late July.
But yet we're doing this project.
Excuse me?
But yet we're gonna go ahead and do this project.
Yeah, this project stemmed from one of the last master plan updates. We don't anticipate any, immediately after this, but we don't know the outcome of the master plan either.
You know, if you bring one next year, I'm gonna ask you why. You know that, right?
I'll be prepared.
Just, it never ends, Bob. I mean, when does it end here? We should have a handle on what we're doing here. And I don't have a lot of confidence that we do. I mean, why, when you rebuilt that other plant, or built that new plant, did you not put new windows in the other one? You were going out to get bonds, you knew the windows were shot. Windows were shot when I left in 1998. They talked about replacing them then. Resolution approving change order number 1 with the service provider agreement with Burt Gurney and Associates for work needed for the pump at 1425 Bluff Road. E is a resolution approving a subordination agreement with Iowa State Bank for the development of affordable housing for Hearthstone Apartments at 2301 West 19th Street. And Mr. Hanson, don't you leave because you're part of that discussion, so I want to see you too if I could. F is a resolution approving an assignment and assumption agreement between Rockland Manufacturing Company and 110 SJ Properties at 110 South Jennings Street. G is a resolution approving a First Amendment to the development of minimum assessment agreements with Rockland Manufacturing the property at 110 South Jennings Street. H is a resolution approving an amendment to number 1 to the consulting services agreement with DGR for the Cook Park Splash Pad project. I is a resolution approving a contract and performance bond with Knife River for the Morningside Avenue project. J is a resolution approving a contract to Mark Albanesius for the Arch Pipe Extension project. K is a resolution approving a settlement agreement and release with FEH Realty Property at 419 8th Street and 805 Pierce Street.
Mayor and Council, Chris Myers, Economic Development Specialist. I just needed to make you aware that there was a minor change made to that settlement agreement. We just added a date by which the settlement needed to be paid, so that we added a date of April 26th. So just needed to make you aware of that.
Is it part of the agreement I signed?
Yes.
Okay, then we're okay. That was a resolution terminating the development and minimum assessment agreement with FEH Realty Property at 419 8th Street and 805 Pierce Street. 10's actions relating to personnel. A is a resolution amending the position classification manual by adopting an updated job description for student intern position. B is a resolution amending the salary schedule for seasonal labor, recreation, and events facility department personnel by reclassifying the pay range of the student intern position. 11 are actions authorizing the issuance of checks. A is a resolution approving change order number 1 and authorizing final payment to Sargent Irrigation Well Drilling for well number 11 rehab project. B is a resolution authorizing final payment to Plains Boiler Service for the removal and replacement of the boiler at the convention center. I need to abstain on that one. C is a resolution approving change order number 1 and authorizing final payment to L&L Builders for the elevator replacement project at the Sioux Gateway Airport. 12 are actions relating to property. A is a resolution proposing to sell property at 821 30th Street, 2934 Jones, and part of the vacated 30th Street between Jones and Jennings. The petitioner is the Sioux City Community School District. I'd like to be recorded. Well, if I try to vote, I guess I have to call for a vote. Or I can vote no. What do you want me to do?
Would you like to pull it for a separate vote? Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying? Yes.
Yes. Just really don't believe we should give alleys away when we make citizens pay for them. The school district ought to have to do the same thing. And it just bothers me that we don't charge them.
Capron,
No.
Gretkin,
Aye.
Moore,
Abstain?
Scott,
No.
Waters.
Aye.
And I would advise the council that this is pursuant to a 2080 agreement that was approved several years ago.
and it's part of fulfilling the council's.
Well, that may have been
obligation.
one that I didn't vote on, but it doesn't matter if it is part of a 2080 agreement. We give alleys away every time there's a school. We spend I'm gonna get on my soapbox now, Mr. Moore, I'm sorry. We spend $1.7 million minimum to put new streets around here, and you guys out there wonder why we can't fix potholes, because we need to slow the school process down so that we can catch up with potholes, which we don't get done. And then we give the property away when everybody else, we sell it to Heelan. We want them, if they want stuff, they gotta buy it from us over there, and we're not gonna, we're gonna pay them probably to reclaim a street and that. It just unbelievable to me. I don't know how it gets in a 2080 agreement. We sold them that property for a sign up there. They went up and cannibalized that hill now, which bothers me. No trees left up there.
I saw that too.
I can request, Mayor, what the cost have been in the past 2 or 3 years of the property exchanges between the city and the school.
The bottom line is, how much would
You
it,
could say that.
Well, then let's give them away to
also against-
citizens,
with the
Alex, that are
potholes.
gonna build something. Let's give them away to citizens that tell me they're gonna build a garage. Let's give it to them. But we don't do that. We make that citizen buy that alley.
I think it's been a two-way street, but if not, then we'll do something different. And I can get those numbers for you. We put Jeff Hansen and I put something together, I think, a couple of years ago on the numbers. We can pull that back out again.
Well, I voted aye on the basis of the 2080 agreement, because it was something I thought we had, previous council had already.
Correct. This was
Agreed.
outlined in the previously approved council agreement and authorized.
Well, other council members come in after me and say, we made bad decisions and I'm not gonna honor them, and they tell me that last time I got off, they told me it'd take them a long time to straighten up all my mistakes. I'm gonna start trying to do that for the councils that have served in the past too, that made bad decisions.
so then this vote doesn't count anyway?
I'm sorry.
This vote doesn't count anyway?
Well, it counts, it's a fail
Yeah.
for approval of the transfer of the real
I know, but
estate.
if it would have passed, it wouldn't have counted if it's already in the 20, well, never mind. Yeah,
You
you're
have to,
right.
the
I
city
got it.
has to separately approve the transfer of land, even though it would be in a previously approved contract.
I
There
got
still
it.
has to be a separate step to authorize the sale.
Okay.
I mean, they're up there building a school here. They're building a school on our alley. You understand that?
According to the 2080 agreement.
But we have liability as long as we own this property, Mr. Moore. I'm practicing law here. None of this makes sense how we do this.
Jeff, just out of curiosity, is there a standard price for an alley? Because it seems to me we've sold some rather cheaply.
Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. We have a formula price that's established through the municipal code that we use when determining the value of vacated right-of-way. We take the adjacent properties next to the alley, we use their assessed value that they pay taxes on per square footage, and then we apply that to the square footage of the vacated alley, and then we reduce that by 50% in residential areas due to the rollback. In the commercial areas, we do 100% of the assessed value for the adjacent properties. In occasions where the assessment is less than 25 cents per square foot, we have a city council policy that allows us to go down to 25 cents. So in the case of the adjacent land value that may value at 10 cents, 17 cents, whatever it may be, we have authority to go as low as 25 cents per square foot.
Suppose we've already done this for Hunt School too.
Nicole, maybe legal can chime in as far as when and when we cannot sell property for less than fair market value, because the law does state that we're not allowed to do that unless there's a 2080 agreement or a development agreement. So in the case with private citizens, when it comes to an alley, unfortunately,
We can't go less than.
we cannot go less unless there's a development agreement or something in place that would allow us to go below fair market value.
Thank you.
Yep.
And if we wanted to start the practice of charging the school the same way we would charge a private citizen, that would have to be negotiated in the 2080 or.
We would use
negotiate
the adjacent properties, I would say, at the time that they request to purchase the alley, whether there's homes on them or not at the time that they request to to purchase those alleys, we would use the same formula, the adjacent assessed value of those properties, and then apply it to the square footage of the alleys.
So it doesn't matter that it's in the 2080 agreement, we could take that action? Is that what you're saying? I'm confused.
No, I thought your question was if it's not in the 28 agreement, how do we get the value of the property?
Oh, no. If, since the school district has the 2080 agreement, we can't charge them, is what we're being told. What I'm saying is, just, right?
And my system is down, so I'm looking on Lisa's to bring up a copy of the contract, but I believe under this one, there was a cost share agreement. That was part of the bargained contract, and maybe Jeff can't remember. I'm trying to get into it now because I can't see it on my computer.
I just wondered when we have to negotiate that, if it's.
Well, I bet we already negotiated in the Hunt School, and we're giving them property there too. Shame on me. That one should have. Why, they're looking where the Boy Scouts from. What troop you guys, where's that at?
We meet at Nativity.
Okay.
Welcome.
I think that was my old deal a long time ago. You used to meet at Morningside Presbyterian years ago?
That's a different troop.
Oh, that's a different one, okay. I didn't get to last very long.
225?
Well, we're glad to have you here. Thanks for coming.
There were several cost share arrangements that were built into this agreement. It looks like we did share some expenses related to public improvements. We did reimburse 100% for all new water main and sanitary sewer that was put in. But there were cost shares in exchange for the vacated public right-of-way to be sold for $1. It's more in detail than that, but that's just the synopsis. I know,
Go through the
Mayor.
Hunt School one before next time and give me a report on what we cost shared there, because the cost sharing doesn't really ever work out to our advantage, but, well, I guess it'll have to come back or something, or unless you want to change your vote, Rhonda.
Nope.
Okay, B is a resolution proposing to grant a temporary easement at 1701 27th Street. Petitioners Ben and Michelle Martin.
Mayor, can you announce that it?
The vote was 2 to 1, so it failed. C is a resolution inviting proposals for the sale of land in the combined Floyd River urban renewal area, accepting the proposal of one site development and scheduling a public hearing. 13 are actions relating to assessments. A is a resolution fixing the amounts to be assessed against private properties, adopting and levying a schedule of assessments for the April 2018 nuisance abatement program.
I had a question about that. Daryl?
Why didn't somebody say that?
Daryl, can you talk to me just a little bit about, and I apologize, this is my ignorance. Can you tell me a little bit about how we determine the amount that we're gonna charge individuals? And I guess I'll give you a little context of why I'm asking.
Sure.
I understand that some of the different things might add up to approximately whatever the fine was. The one that I had a question about that just, it didn't compute to me was number 8, the 914 Jones Street. It says that we removed 3 mattresses from the property and we're charging that person $345 to do that.
I believe that was more of a summation, 3 mattresses. There was other trash and debris along there with that, and that would have included all the pickup of the trash and debris as well.
Is there a standard hourly rate?
That's what I was gonna
It's
ask.
a bid.
How do you assess?
We actually give it out to several contractors and have them go
Went
by
through
the
that
property
2
and take a
weeks ago.
look. And have them give us a price on it once they've
Remember?
gone and visited the
What's
site.
that? You just went through that 2 weeks ago, and he said, when I said, you ever gonna bid that, he said they did, that's when you negotiated.
Nuisances, we
Yeah.
always bid those nuisances, yes. Nuisances
On
where
an
we abate.
annual basis.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was talking about the.
But on this case, on this case like what you're referring to right here, depending on the volume, you can't, it's hard to fix a cost to something like that. So we actually call the contractors that we're doing business with for nuisance abatement, weed abatement, snow abatement, have them go out and visit the site, look at it and tell us what the cost is going to be to remove those items and take it to the landfill, pay landfill costs and so forth.
Okay.
So we bid it out.
That's what I needed to know.
Okay.
But if you can stay up for the next one.
Sure.
B is a resolution
Hold
fixing.
on, Bob, hold on. I'm going to make a motion to reconsider on the Bryant issue. Being that it was explained to me that we would be liable.
Liable for what, a lawsuit? I'd love that lawsuit.
Well,
Still get the
explain it.
numbers.
What?
I'll still get the numbers.
I don't care about the numbers. It is not gonna matter. It's not gonna change anything. So, well, then you
Well,
gotta
no,
make a
it will.
motion to reconsider. Is there a second?
Second.
Greckin,
Aye.
Moore,
Abstain?
Scott,
No.
Waters,
Aye.
Capron.
Aye.
That item number, I don't know, because the agenda that I've been given isn't right. Is that 11 then, A?
12A.
Bryant School is 11A, is it not?
Not according to our
12A.
agenda.
12A.
12A.
Oh, I see the numbering on mine is in.
You're the one that's wrong, then, okay, so I've changed all mine now, I'll be wrong. Thank you, Lisa. I don't need help looking stupid, I can do it on my own, but anyway, 12A now passes. 12,
That was the motion to reconsider.
Yes.
oh yeah,
Now we need to
okay.
vote on the item again.
Now you gotta make a motion, yeah,
Motion seconded as
Aye.
Moore,
Abstain?
Scott,
no.
Waters.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
A is a resolution fix, or B, I'm sorry, we already did A. B is a resolution fixing the amount to be assessed against private property, adopting a levying schedule of assessments for the 2018 sidewalk snow removal program.
This is again, just a question, I apologize again for my ignorance, just wondering if I was in this situation, what I would do. If someone was disabled or elderly or unable to move their snow from the sidewalk, is there anything, any safeguards in place to not assess such a steep fine to someone that maybe physically can't move that?
Somebody's called in and they have no opportunity to do that. We do have some different contacts with some different associations with people that volunteer to go out and help in situations like that, where they just can't get out. They maybe have had an accident or something like this. We have given those numbers out quite frequently.
Okay,
And
we
there
do
are,
have safeguards
yeah,
for
we
that.
do have some of those. The problem with the majority of these is they just don't take care of it, period. They
Yeah,
just
and
ignore it.
it was literally for argument's sake, I just wondered because
Yep.
I know I've been in that situation where I
Yep.
can't necessarily move the snow, so.
Yeah, we have a lot of good volunteer programs and associations in the city that do help out when needed.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you, Darrell.
Thanks.
14 is purchasing. A is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Gilling LLC for 135-foot heavy-duty low-floor diesel bus for transit. B is a resolution awarding a purchase order to Gilling LLC for 135-foot heavy-duty low-floor diesel bus for the transit system. 15 are applications for cigarette, tobacco, nicotine, vapor permits. See the list, come forward if you have questions. 16 are applications for beer liquor license. See the list, come forward if you have any questions. 17, receipt of minutes. See the list and come forward if you have any questions. That concludes the consent agenda. Anyone to be heard? Got it, Lisa?
I'm waiting for, there we go, was waiting for one.
I just voted, yeah.
Passes 5-0. 18 is a motion approving the preliminary plot of the Stockyards Third Edition and a portion of relocated South Lafayette Street. The petitioner's H&R Construction. P&Z recommends approval. I'll move it.
Second.
Hi, Susan.
Susan Stewart, Chair of Planning and Zoning Commission. We had one commenter, we considered both the site plan and the preliminary plat together, so it's kind of hard to really recognize or realize what he was there for, but he was an abutting landowner who was really more concerned that the development of the area might require him to plant trees or do other things like that to his property. We did have some questions from the commission about the traffic spaces and the road, and whether there were going to be traffic issues like with people parking on both sides of the road. And staff answered those questions to our satisfaction. There probably will be no parking signs on one side to eliminate the possibility, if there is such a possibility, of extra traffic when there are events both at the Ag Expo Center and at the arena venue. But there wasn't a lot of issues with either the commission or with anyone in the audience about this item.
sorry. Are you ready to vote? I'm trying to do too many things over here, and I don't have the brain cells to do it. There we go.
Passes 5-0. 19, hearing and resolution accepting the proposal of Aldi for land in the combined Floyd urban renewal area and authorizing development agreement. I'll move it.
Second. I got no lights.
You don't.
On your voting?
The,
Wakey, wakey.
Maybe you should bring a scientist in and see what's wrong with it.
Engineer.
This really got to you, man.
Just need one of those.
Okay,
see
I'm
what
gonna
happens.
restart it.
You got a light now?
Hey.
yes,
Here we go.
I do.
Oh.
Is this for number 24? No, I'm just kidding, Lisa.
I've
I'm
lost
just kidding.
track, just vote.
19 pops up.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. This isn't going very smoothly, I'm sorry.
Passes
No.
5-0. Hearing and resolution approving plans and specs for the Garrettson Avenue realignment project. I move we delete the item.
Second.
Capron,
Aye.
Greckin.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Scott.
Aye.
Waters.
Aye.
21 is a hearing and resolution instituting proceedings to take additional action for the issuance of not to exceed 15,500,000 GO urban renewal bonds. I'll move it.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 22 is a hearing and resolution instituting proceedings to take an additional action for the issuance of not to exceed 7 million GO refunding bonds. I'll move it.
Second.
Passes 5-0. 23 is an ordinance amending 2.35 Events Facility Advisory Board and Events Facility Director to reflect change in management of the Tyson Event Center, Orpheum Theater, and Convention Center.
I'll move it.
Second.
Mayor and council, would you like me to summarize the key changes?
I would really like that, yes.
Happy to.
Other than
Mayor
setting
and
them up for
council-
failure, yeah, I would like to.
Yeah. Mayor and council, the key changes to the proposed ordinance are changing the name of the Events Facilities Advisory Board to Events Facilities and Tourism Advisory Board, reducing the number of members from 11 to 7, changing the makeup of the board from 1 member of the Orpheum Theater Preservation Project, 3 members from hotel, restaurant, and hospitality industry, 1 member from the Siouxland Chamber of Commerce or Downtown Partners, and 2 members which will be residents of the city. In addition, there will be 1 council member, 1 representative from Spectra or whoever manages the Tyson Event Center, and 1 representative from whoever represents the convention center as non-voting members. The language would also add language directing the board to serve as a member on any regional tourism board if established, and it would eliminate any references to the Events Facilities Director and the IBPI Center. That being the IBPI Center now falls under the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
So would the 7 members be limited to a 3-year term?
Yes, they would, under, I think it's, I'm not sure what the exact code section is, but there's a general code section that refers to terms and length of term on boards and commissions. It limits it to 2 terms of no more than 3 years each.
I'd love to hear what you have to say about this proposed ordinance.
Thank you. Dave Madsen, 3011 Chestnut Avenue here in Sioux City, and I'm the current president of the existing Events Facility Advisory Board. Just a couple of comments, and understand these are coming from me personally, not from the board, because the board hasn't made any decision about this one way or the other. First of all, I love the addition of tourism because that's been a thing that we haven't been doing really very well. I am a little concerned about not having more just members of the general public that are part of this. And I think as the idea about 3 members of the hotel, hospitality, restaurant businesses, I think is a really good thing from the standpoint of they're going to have a vested interest in tourism. They're going to bring more people here. On the other hand, I think there could be also a conflict of interest from them of competition of getting events at their facilities as opposed to our facilities. For example, a lot of the things that could happen at our convention center could also go across the river to a building or downtown to a building. I mean, so I think there's going to be a little conflict of interest there from those people on this advisory board. That I know just has been, he just has gotten a new job as executive director of the Southeast South Dakota Tourism Association. And they are responsible for kind of looking at the whole Southeast South Dakota part of tourism. And when you talk about regional tourism boards, I think it would be really good to make connection with that person. And I'd be happy to give you his contact information. So that's what I have to tell you. So.
Good comments. I appreciate that.
A little confused. Events, facilities, and tourism advisory board, but then we talk about later, in addition, the board will serve to assist in the promotion of tourism in our country through local efforts. So who's going to have the primary responsibility, and will there be a budget?
I think that's open to debate right now. There's been a lot of debate that occurred during the transition from city operated to Spectra about the role of tourism in our community, and the general direction that staff is beginning to move is towards a regional. It shouldn't be Sioux City by itself.
Yes.
But it should be a partnership of the hospitality industry, the Chamber of Commerce, downtown partners, and other entities, all with a vested interest in bringing people to Sioux City. So that is still to be determined.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
Hi, Mark Lopez, 3813 Orleans Avenue. I have pretty much talked to a lot of people here in Sioux City about the tourism here in Sioux City and as well as Iowa itself. And as a freelance videographer or cinematographer, I run a production company, and I was wondering what was or what we were going to do about the tourism industry here. I have talked to a lot of people at Stony Creek, Hard Rock, a couple of people at Downtown Partners this morning, the director of partnership at Tyson and things like that. And we've all kind of came to a conclusion that come here and see what we're going to come to a conclusion with. But as far as promotion and things like that, I think, yes, more residents should be involved. Also, I do think contractors should probably be involved. You guys probably don't know about freelancers in the area.
What do you mean by contractors? I don't mean to interrupt you.
Third-party contractors, people that could provide services to, the visual effects of, or the visual parts of the tourism industry. I think a lot of videos that we see now on YouTube are showcasing different towns and states and cities, but they are having a beautiful video to accompany the towns and the cities and things like that. So, I just propose that, we look into looking at freelancers and cinematographies that we do have here in town that could bring appeasing look to the tourism that we're going to.
And I think that'd be great. This is something that's kind of been like a pet project of mine where I really believe in regional tourism. I think that we need to do a much better job marketing ourselves regionally as well as things within the city. And so I hope that can kind of be something we can work forward from this point with this. Where I see what you're talking about is more down the road once an entity and their budget has been established. That's when they would look at hiring those individuals and working with contractors or people to promote it through various avenues, right? I mean, I agree with you. We need to do more videos. We need to do more drones of what our community is doing and what it looks like, and to see yourself here, you know what I mean? That type of thing. And I think that what you're doing is precisely what I hope to do. I just don't think it's what we're voting on here tonight, if that makes sense. This is kind of an advisory, just saying this is where we envision the future going with regional tourism, or making recommendations to us of what could be done.
Right.
That's what I envision this happening, not necessarily like hiring people to do these things.
Okay. All right.
We have, the bottom line here is we have to get off the, work it up.
Everything has split up. And
Yeah,
now
we
we're
got to
trying
work it
figure
up and
out.
get, first of all, get the committee together, because that's going to be be our number one priority. Then we're gonna have to figure out where we're gonna get some money, because it takes money to do anything that we want to do. And I know I was on the board, I know that we had I think we had a fund for $20,000 at one time, didn't we, Bob? And that doesn't go very far.
Well, Rhonda,
When you're talking a year wide. But on the other side of it, we need to get money to put ourselves out there, so we get, in order to make money, you gotta spend some. That's how I look at it. So, if we get people out there aware of what's going on, then that's gonna bring them back to us, I feel.
we do
You
need
go
to
your
bring
room.
awareness to the tourism industry. I'm proposing that my own production company, that, I bring my staff on board and we help do promotional videos free of charge. And that way we can update the website and the video content that we currently have. I was looking for the Facebook web pages and, the actual visit siouxcity.org, and it, kind of looks like the same website, but at the same time, they have beautiful pictures and videos that, kind of brings you to the city itself.
And did you just say you're interested in doing that more pro bono, or
Pro
just
bono,
as helping?
yes,
Well,
yes.
I would definitely direct you to any assistance you could offer in visual content to reach out to the city manager's office. I think Ann Westra does a great job as far as trying to find that content and cross-share and do those different things. The city manager's right here down at the end, sir. He'll be able to give you his card. I think this, I've reached out to friends of mine even that do more drone photography and stuff like that. So if you're willing to do that pro bono, or I always think you just splash your name at the bottom and say, hey, this is the type of stuff I can do. I think that can be mutually beneficial, but anything until we start getting the ball rolling, and then once we've established something similar to what Councilmember Capron was talking about, and we have that money coming in, then you'd be more than able to apply for those projects or events.
All right.
But I think it's something that definitely needs to be done more. I mean, trust me, I watch what other communities are doing as well.
Thank you,
Okay,
guys.
thank you. Thanks for your interest.
I like the idea, and I can support going from 2 at-large members to 4 members, because we're at 7, it would increase it to 9. With the additional 3 non-voting members, that's at 12. I think that was a good point you raised, Dave.
There aren't 2 non-voting members, right?
3 non-voting members of the total of 10. There's 7 members that vote.
Oh,
and then
gotcha. The
3
council member,
non-voting
the
members.
Spectra, and Kenseth are those 2.
But I don't know if I'd have the support for it, but I'd sure go.
I was
along
just
with
going to ask Dave if he thought 2 was enough.
No,
2 civilians, no?
he said no.
Oh.
No, I don't think she's enough. Because I just think there needs to be people. I just think there needs to be more people who do not have a specific vested interest in what they're talking about.
Okay,
I
That's
agree.
understand.
Well, and my question with that, I was talking with the city manager earlier, do we need to have 3 members from the hotel, restaurant, hospitality industry? Should we reduce that to 2 and then add 1 more community member at large? I mean, what does the council think of that opportunity?
I thought 3, I'm comfortable with 3. In fact, I thought that was a good suggestion.
Okay.
For the city manager.
3 and
myself.
then bump the number of members, just bump that up. As far as the
Here's the
residents.
thing, you don't want to be getting a lot of people, too many people on there, because you got a lot of different opinions, and all you're gonna do is sit there for an hour and get nothing discussed.
Well, I was thinking about it
You do
also
that
though,
with
with
5.
Reagan, can you
Huh?
tell, how many are on
mean,
our
look at us
downtown
here.
partners board?
Too many.
I'm sorry.
Just trying to think of it as a point of reference. How many are on our
Yes.
downtown partners board?
Mayor said too many.
Sure. I'm not going to
A
say
good
too
executive
many.
would agree with me.
You're not going to get that out there.
She would agree with me if she could.
There's 13 voting members. There are 2 ex officio. 1 represents from the Siouxland Chamber of Commerce and 1 representative from the city of Sioux City. The 2 council members are voting members, so there's a total of 15.
Thank you.
Have we regularly had 15 people there though? Because it feels like usually around 10 or right in there.
Well, if my boardroom fits 15, and there's usually a chair or 2 out. There's usually, there's no less than 10 at board meetings, so, yeah. It's a good number.
The math
My answer
between
was
Wednesday and
2 many.
Briarcliff could be off a little bit too. You never know.
If we weren't gonna pick up the tourism piece, I'd be comfortable with 7, but since we're gonna pick up that piece and we haven't really done a whole lot in the past, and we hope to do a lot more, I just think having 9 makes a lot of sense to me.
I just don't want to go too large, but I would be comfortable with 9. I could understand that.
Yeah, and I would certainly support getting more engagement from the community. I think that's really important to get ideas from them with respect to what they want to see, so we know where to focus. So I'd be fine with 4. I'd be fine with 4.
Mayor, what are your thoughts?
I have none today.
He's done thinking.
I very much so doubt that.
I'll move to, because we already have a motion on the floor, don't we?
Move to
In a
amend.
second.
Yes.
So I'll move to amend the proposal to changing it from 2 members who shall be residents of Sioux City to 4 members who shall be residents of Sioux City, making the total membership 9.
There are other to constitute a quorum, I believe. The proposed language says 4 members of the board shall constitute a quorum.
Yes.
So there'll be other changes that we'll need to
You can do that
make
and then just clean that language up before you did second and third.
with direction to make the corresponding changes.
Right.
Okay.
That'd be my motion to amend.
Is there a
I'll second it.
And then I guess my question as well is then we vote on this and then it goes open to people to apply. Then we have to go into interviews. Then we have to go into appointing whoever we vote for. And then we actually establish or like what we would like them to work on or do. Is that
The goal would be that they would be formulated by July 1st.
I think they're talking about increasing this.
yeah. Okay.
Alex,
It just seems like a lot of time.
I think you should be the new council member, because you really have an interest in the regional. And we've done it almost 5 years, but.
Oh, I would like that a lot. I would like that a lot. I'm very passionate.
No, I know you're
about this
interested in it, you're really.
Well, we got one on our committee already, so this is good. Let's
stuff.
vote.
There you go.
Call for the question.
Gretkin?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Scott?
No.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Okay, so we won't do second and third because you need to, oh, no, we
That
gotta
was the
vote on,
amendment.
yep,
You
you're
didn't use
right.
your
Now we're voting on the regular. I got it. That's for you, not me. You can have it. I read it. Passes 4-1. I vote no. 24, resolution directing the advertisement for sale of $20,845,000 worth of GO bonds, Series 2018A. 25, resolution, oh, I'll move that.
Second.
Not that I don't want to get done.
Hold on, don't vote that one.
Number 24?
Yes, this is 24, go ahead.
I thought there was 24s, I just.
I'm on 24. I hope you guys are.
Passes 5-0. 25, the resolution directing the advertisement sale of $15,040,000 taxable GO bonds, Series 2018B. I'll move it.
Second.
Donna, was there something?
No, I just get my card.
She's getting set up for next.
Oh, thanks.
Passes 5-0. 26, a resolution directing the advertisement for the sale of $2,265,000 GO urban renewal bonds, Series 2018C. I'll move it. Passes 5-0. 26 is a presentation and discussion of the FY 2018 quarterly financial reports for the quarter ending March 31st, 2018.
27, Lisa.
What?
Item 27. Because you're using her.
Oh, 27, yes.
Yeah,
I'm so confused on the numbers.
Okay, Mayor and Council. Just a quick overview of the quarterly reports for the third quarter. We are doing well financially. We had bond rating hearings a couple weeks ago, and both our double A's were renewed by Moody's and Standard & Poor's. Especially from Standard & Poor's, they gave us a strong background in financial management that was representative of the city council, city manager, and the finance department, and the rest of the city departments. It was very nice to see. And I think as you go through these reports, you can see some of the reasons why they do give us the AA rating. Our property taxes, we are ahead of collection this year. Our levy.
Can you say that one more time so everyone can hear that out there?
Okay. Our tax levy for the fiscal year 18 that we are in, we have a lower levy than we have for the past 2 fiscal years. Our tax collection is up because the growth in our tax base, which is a wonderful thing to see.
Well, I'm sure that's correct. But are you taking into account a lot of people paid their property taxes in December? Or have we collected that month? Didn't we collect that probably the first quarter? They paid them ahead?
Some paid ahead, but I don't believe that the county gave us all of them.
Well, that'd be interesting to make sure that because the law requires, I think, the treasurer to remit those.
And I'll double check on
And I
that.
want to make sure that he's not sitting on that big pile of money earning interest like other county treasurers have done in the past around here.
I'll look at that.
Because that's our money what the day it's paid, because those taxes were actually due. They were spread, they were due. But I have a feeling that they're not going to pay them until.
And I'll look into that.
Thank you very much.
But overall, our actual tax collections for the year are
Bob,
going
I
to be
don't
up.
want them making interest when we could. I'm looking out for my citizens, of which 82% of them are their citizens, so they should give us the money. Go ahead now.
Franchise fees were slightly ahead of the previous fiscal years, and that's across the board in gas, cable, and electric. The casino revenue, we are about even with the previous year. I'm currently working on a reconciliation payment for last fiscal year and first part of this year, and that should be coming in once I get that calculated. Hotel motel tax, we are down some, but that is due to the leaving of the CF industry people, and we expected that to go down a little bit. Red Flex, we don't budget Red Flex, but our speed camera revenue is coming in strong. We're about $1.5 million right now, and that's being used to offset the unbudgeted EMS costs. On expenditures, oh, it's freezing up on me. On general fund expenditures, we are trending very similar to the last couple fiscal years. Our biggest increase are in the CBD block grant, down payment assistance, our home loans. We've had a couple home loans rewritten, and our home serve insurance payments are above what we've budgeted. Major revenues for other funds. Sewer and water are trending ahead of the last 2 fiscal years for third
Donna,
quarter.
I think you went the wrong way on the slide.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Thank you.
you.
We have a 3% sewer fee increase that is factored into the FY18 numbers. We did not have rate increases in 16 and 17. Water, we have a 6.65 for each of the fiscal years 16, 17, and 18. Our consumption is higher, but we are still not, we had budgeted a higher consumption. Property taxes, we've talked about a little bit. Sales tax, we are down in our sales tax collection. Here again, a lot of that's the effect of CF Industries. We did have, for the second time since I've been here, and we've had sales tax, we had to pay back some of the sales tax estimate last year. We had a $42,000 payment that we had to give back. That's only the second time we've had that. And that is due to the estimates that the state comes up with and they pay us. And road use, the per diem was down, but we are getting more revenue because of more gas is being sold.
Isn't it counterintuitive that, I mean, CF Industries has really kind of skewed the numbers, but wouldn't we still have enough progress going on that they should still be rising instead of?
Well, we're about at $14 million for sales tax, and it's down from the 15 million that we were looking at when CF was here.
Amazon. Trump is right. Somebody's got to stop him.
Who?
Amazon. I'm telling you, I bet you in our community, I bet you it's what they figure. 107, it's a big number.
Is it California that's fighting that right now? Right?
No, South Dakota, and it doesn't sound like they're gonna win from what the justices were asking.
Hasn't the state talked about that for a long time, but nothing's ever been done about it?
But you can't do it at the state
What do you
level.
think, what do you think happened to Yonkers? I mean, you know, people are buying stuff online and times are changing.
Yeah, but
And
we
we should-
want to promote retail in our community.
For sure.
We do what we can to get retail development, and then somebody gets on the computer,
Yeah.
and, you know, you've got congressmen that live not very far from here, a little bit to the east, Dan, in our district, though, who say, well, that's the way it is. You know, that's not the way it is. People should not have a 7% advantage in retail business, because sometimes there's not 7% profit.
It should be a level playing field.
It should be, the playing field should be leveled, and I don't understand a congressman that would make that statement.
No, I agree.
I'm totally up.
My mom is a manager for a small business, and she tells me about it all the time, about how Amazon is killing their business. Not to get off track.
That's all right. On general fund expenditures, we've done that one. Okay, on other fund expenditures, we are trending a little bit higher, and a lot of that is in the utilities with Triumph Seaboard coming on to the wastewater treatment plant. We are seeing a higher chemical cost, we are seeing higher utility costs, and you can see the dotted line there showing that. All fund expenditures, we have just a few funds that are at this point exceeding budget, and a lot of them are due to grants that have been awarded or were carried over and aren't in the original budget, and that it would be in community development and in human rights. Those would be grant-funded expenditures, so there's revenue to offset that. On finance, we have the bank credit card charges are trending higher than we had budgeted, and we had a severance, which I do have the money in a reserve for the severance that we had. And fire, you have the EMS, that through the third quarter, we were showing expenditures over budget of $469,000, but we have fire expenses that are covering that. The true cost as of today for the EMS is $737,312. That's where we are for EMS expenditures.
700,000? How much have they taken in?
160,000 is what we've collected in revenue.
Hold on, will you repeat all that again?
How many months have we been doing it?
We started January 1st.
How many?
January 1st, so we got the first payment in March, so we probably got 2 payments in.
I heard it right.
But you have 700,000 worth of costs already?
That's net with the revenue, 737,000. But that's the startup cost and everything. We planned about 150,000 for startup cost.
I'm not gonna say I
So it'd
told
be
you so.
500 already. Yeah. Well, I think we.
No, she said that's net.
That's net.
No, but
Keep
you were
in mind,
saying
I-
150 for startup costs, that's not gonna be.
Okay, take it, take it out, that's 600, and that's a quarter. That's 2.4 million. On what we projected to be tops, $1 million.
I do think, though, that when we get some revenue, because we didn't collect revenue for January and February, because that's that delay.
Well, you gotta collect a whole lot. You gotta have some idea what that number is.
I can do a report on that.
But
I think it'd be good to show the build, not the collected revenue at this point, because I know there is a considerable delay between billing and collecting.
Oh, I know, I'm in that business, Bob, I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, the government pays you when they want to, but still, it doesn't appear we're trending exactly where we had hoped to be.
We will get you a report on what's been billed and expected to be collected.
Do they do a monthly report, the fire department? Or- Yeah, because I don't think we've seen anything outside of the first.
But you didn't want to take bids.
And going on, in snow removal, we are over budget. As of today, we're $18,000 over budget. That doesn't include last week's activity, but the department has enough money within their budget to absorb that difference. And then WIC, the software costs have come in higher because of price increases. On our cash and investments, we are continuing to use fund balance. The balance will go up when we issue the bonds that we've started talking about tonight and previous weeks. That'll bring that fund balance up. Last year, we earned 0.67% interest. This year, we're earning 1% interest, and the year before that was 0.48% interest.
Well, you have a lot of debt. You don't want it to get a lot better because you're going to be paying.
After I sell my debt, it's okay.
What?
After I sell my debt.
Yeah.
And our money markets and our federal agencies are where most of our money sit, are between the two. Any questions?
I look forward to receiving your report.
I'm sorry.
He said he looks forward to receiving your report.
On the app,
We will get it for you.
EMS? Is that what you're talking about?
I thought we were gonna get it monthly, but maybe we have and I just missed it because they come in the memos, but I thought we were gonna get that monthly.
I will make sure that we start doing it.
Why ruin it every month when you could just ruin a quarter of your life?
That's kind of how I feel.
Any citizen concerns, please come forward, state your name and address for the record and what you want to talk about.
Doug Rose, 220 South Westcott, Sioux City, Iowa. I want to touch base a little bit on what Mr. Salem talked about a few weeks ago about the inspection department. Right now, I don't know that any other city would have a better qualified plans examiner in their staff. Years ago, and we've done many investigations on houses that their foundations have failed, their walls have failed, their rafters have failed. Those things are being looked at more thoroughly right now by the plans examiners, by the building inspection department. So I'd say kudos to Daryl's. I know it, I cuss them. We send plans out.
Way to do a good job, and there's a way to do a good job quickly. And there's a
Don't
way to
know
do a
about the
good
quickly.
job, and there's a way to do a good job cooperatively.
I cuss them all the time.
I understand.
But
you
they
know
are so
what? You have an
qualified.
advantage. You have an advantage over a guy like me that wants to come down and build a garage.
I do.
You know what? If I have to tell you what the trusses are, then that ought to be said the first time, not when I come back and I gotta go find out what the lamb is. We ought to know what the list is once we're here the first time.
That's a
And I've
tough
had,
one.
that's from my own personal experience.
You know, the residential code book is
You know,
just as
but
thick as
But we
the
can
other
say,
code
you know
book.
what, get the specs on that lamb and get the specs on those trusses you're using and tell me what, I mean, I understand whether I gotta do a 2x6 wall or 2x4s, I get that. But we can do those sort of things so it's not a 2 and 3 trip process.
Very hard to make that list, and I don't necessarily need to defend them. I'm just telling you that the qualifications right now, because of the
I've never questioned
review,
anybody's qualifications. I've questioned the ability to help a citizen do a small job. Not everybody's gonna
That's
hire
a
an
tough
engineer like you to do a garage. I'm not going to. I know enough how to do the footings. I know enough how to build the garage. And I assume if Lechner's selling me those trusses, they must meet the wind load and that in the city of Sioux City, but
they come with a certification if you get them from the
and I'll
pre-engineered
gladly go get
manufacturer.
it if you tell me, but don't tell me that and the next day tell me you gotta go get the lamb specification. Tell me both of those right away so I can do it.
I agree fully. I
Okay,
agree fully.
that's one of the complaints we get.
So that's one of my concerns. The other concern is that the city has a development on the north side, the Northern Valley Crossing. So when we do a development for residential or commercial, it's almost an instant that we have to have a detention system. That Crossing, how do we have a city commercial project without some type of detention, regional detention on it?
I think because the big ditch is right there that it runs into, correct? I think it was sized when they actually did the railroad.
I can't speak to what the Kearney Public Works Director, when they did it, I was not here at the time, Northern Valley Crossing, but fact is, by our Phase 2 permit, every new development is to have a detention basin. Doesn't matter what your downstream sizing of your pipes is. It doesn't matter if there's a 100-year outlet or not a 100-year outlet. We're supposed to detain not only for water quantity, but water quality. I can't speak, I'm finding out in the time period I wasn't here that detention basins weren't required.
And I understand all that.
We have a
but
permit that requires us to do that.
what we're gonna end up with, though, is that each one of those little developments on that big commercial city development is gonna end up with a detention pond. And if that ground is gonna be $5 a square foot, an acre of ground is roughly, I figured, about 20% of that ground is gonna be covered by a detention pond for the acre, so that means that we're gonna be somewhere in the 8,000 square feet, $40,000 for the ground that detention pond is gonna put on. And no digging yet, no infrastructure, nothing. So by the time we're done with that acre of ground, we have a $75,000 to $100,000 detention pond, and we're gonna end up with 7 or 8 of those on that Northern Valley Crossing. Why not have a regional detention pond and have just like you have a tapping fee for the water and sewer, why not have a fee for a regional detention pond? Seems better to me anyway, as a layman, to have one big pond than have 7 or 8 that are also gonna have to have.
But not everybody does it with a detention pond though, Doug, but people do it internally with bigger pipe under the sprinkler line.
So then increase your cost by about twice on those under,
Oh, you know
under
what,
the surface.
they did it at Culver's, they've done it at other places, so obviously you can still sell hamburgers and meet the code.
But we have, a development that according to the DNR is supposed to have a detention pond on it. As soon as Whispering Creek, as soon as Eagle Point, they have to have a detention pond, period. So why doesn't Northern Valley Crossing have a detention pond?
Well, we certainly have enough land, we can do one, I have no idea.
I mean, it just seems odd that we don't have an SWPP for that development, and we don't have a regional detention pond for that development.
You're talking to the wrong guys, we don't know anything about.
Yeah. But those are the hoops.
It's Rhonda and Pete, don't you sit on the engineering?
Public Works?
Yeah, but we haven't discussed
I guess
this.
they'll look into it, because I don't have an answer for you. And I don't think they do, so we'll just have to look into it.
Yeah, no idea.
Seems odd that we don't have that available for the Aldi's and the Dollar General Store and whoever else is.
A lot of places, the commercial especially, you wouldn't have a development where every home put in their own detention pond, where on a lot of times commercial sites, they'll have their own detention facility.
But I think there is an opportunity for a regional one if that's a practice. I don't know if
Well, there
that's
certainly is on the southeast corner of that site. There's
Very
plenty.
easily.
We should get his number.
Very easily.
All right, we'll look into it. Thank you. I don't even know where it goes now, so.
I know who he is,
Oh, okay.
but I don't.
Anyone else?
Couldn't you just do it back to the stream back there or whatever?
Yeah, but you still gotta retain it. You just can't dump it.
Carney will get me
For
answers
water
after I
quality,
pick
you
up
gotta
another day.
retain it and then let it out slow. Pete?
Mr. Rose kind of beat me to the punch. I was just going to ask for an update on Dick Salem's concerns from 2 weeks ago because I haven't heard anything, so I don't know what we're doing if we're meeting. I thought we were going to do some follow-up he expressed a concern about that event for a Mexican restaurant business, and I haven't heard anything, so I didn't know where we were at or what we're doing.
I give a brief response. I met with Darrell Bullock, our chief building official, as well as talked to Henry Henschel. It's actually a state mechanical code that requires the venting. If it was in the case of the Tally Harvey building, it would need to be vented through the roof. It can't be vented to the property line. So it's not a city code, it's a state code that's required through the health department.
Well, if that's the case, Bob, I'm not doubting them, but how do they ever put all these restaurants in old buildings in downtown Des Moines then? Because what you just said is almost impossible to do.
Yeah, I can't address that. As far as he had mentioned a range hood that's at the gluten-free restaurant and whether that could be moved. I was told range hoods are sized for the use and area of space that it will be filling. And so what may work and may be brand new and state-of-the-art in one area might not necessarily work in a different kitchen.
But he said that wasn't due to, right?
And you given an
That it couldn't be
itemization that I
moved or something, wasn't it?
requested 3 or 4 times? Did they give you the itemization of the cost?
No, they did not. We did not
Didn't
receive
give it to you.
anything.
Oh, I had requested that. I'm really surprised you didn't get it.
Yeah.
That's too bad. Because you can't make an intelligent, informed decision without that. And they said they would provide it. I'm just surprised. You didn't get it either? Nobody got it. Can't help you. If you can't help, if you can't give us the itemization.
Regarding what again?
Well, the hood, 2 weeks ago, they were giving
Yeah,
us
but
some.
Dave wouldn't know anything about that.
Well, I'm reaching. I mean, is anybody out there? Mike?
Well, they are engineers, and they did sleep in a Holiday Inn Express.
But the city manager was supposed to get that
Makes them double
information for us, and if you didn't get
Never
it,
received any. I have not received anything in my office.
I don't know what else we can do then. Because it seemed awful high it was a quote for the cost of the vent.
And I did
For the
ask
hood,
Daryl
the
about
cost for
that,
the
and he
hood.
said, depending on the venting, if there's an existing flue, the fact that it has to go out through the roof of the Francis building could be cost prohibitive.
Exactly.
They're taking an office environment and trying to turn it into a restaurant.
But they do that in other towns.
Yeah, they do.
I was just in Davenport, they have a lot of them.
So I
Anything
wonder
else,
what they
Pete?
do. I just want us to be inviting and open, inviting for businesses and promoting that growth, especially when we're looking at all this downtown development. If we're gonna promote that, then we're just saying, well, then there can't be any restaurants downtown. There
Well,
can't
I
be
mean, the
restaurants.
guy in
downtown.
that next to Hoff's left town with his tail between his legs because he could never figure out how to do a pizza restaurant in that little building. It just slays me that we.
Where at,
could not-
Bob?
Right next to Hoff's. That building is
Oh,
still sitting
sure.
there empty. We sent that kid packing down the road with all the things that we needed done, but.
And I'm
Put-
not saying
I
that's
tell you
the
what-
case, Dan, I just don't want that being the perception.
But putting in a good ventilation system for food that's huge, because if it's not cleaned, then you get fires, and then you're gonna have a whole building going up. And
I disagree with any of that, but to say that you have to go to 5 or 6 stories to vent, that is never gonna work in downtown Sioux
Oh,
City.
no,
So what we
uh-uh.
say, what we should just say is don't even try, because it's not gonna
No,
work.
but we still don't know if that's the case, Mayor, because we.
Well, that's what he just said. I didn't say it. He
Well,
did.
but an itemization would have told you that.
Yeah,
An
exactly what.
itemization, the cost would have
Well,
gone
I'm
along
telling
with-
you, you don't have to have an itemization. You're gonna go through you gotta go through offices upstairs. It's
That's,
just,
you can do that.
now we go up 4 or 5 stories.
you can do anything if you got money.
Well,
Anything can be done, but I'm just telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if it was $70,000 to do it, is all I'm saying.
It's not cheap putting in a
No.
ventilation system.
No.
The other thing I wanted to mention really, or ask really quickly was, if there's a
Don't
quick
finish your
answer.
Restaurants and they're out the side, around here. We almost change our ordinance.
I've been hit up twice about, in the last month or so, about the city, about Heelan tearing down Heelan High School and the city doing additional work, or had some agreement
Opening
with
the
Heelan. Are you opening 11th Street? Are we just opening
11th.
just from Douglas to Grandview?
Yes.
Because I know that their concern, the concern I've received is that if it's going to be an east-west connector and you're going to have trucks and a lot of traffic, increased traffic, they're worried about that being adjacent to the high school.
Well,
And
they are.
I told them I didn't know if there was any plans on 11th Street because I've never heard it mentioned. I did ask Dave at the Public Works team meeting today, but there's no issue or information there either, so. Are we, So what should I respond?
Jeff seems to know more.
Oh, okay.
Sure. Jeff Hansen, Community Development Operations Manager. It has been the plan for quite some time when that bridge was realigned on Bluff and 11th to make that connection there at Heelan. The property that they're currently using for parking is still vacated right away that we leased. We did not sell the property.
Is that from 11th to 10th on the west side of the road, or?
No, it would be the 11th Street section between Grandview and Douglas that we still own that they use for parking in between the two
Oh,
buildings.
it's CYO building in the
It's-
school, yeah, okay.
Correct. It's vacated right away that we chose not to sell because we knew we were coming in later
Okay.
to make that extension. And so we're currently meeting with their campus committee on those plans because we do need to coordinate the design of that street with their campus improvements. There's a tunnel under there that serves both in the design of the street and also coordinating the design of their future parking to the south. Once they tear down the old school.
Once they tear it down. So this is an agreement that's been in place for how long? Or an understanding at least?
I would
To do?
say
Quite a long time.
Long time.
30, 40 plus.
Years?
Oh, yeah. It
Wow.
goes way back to when I was here before, I know
So we
that.
recently extended their lease.
Might be 40, huh?
The original lease had terminated a few years ago, and we renewed it on an annual basis to get them through until we open up that street.
So is it really going to be used as an east-west connector? I mean,
I don't see it, I see
provided
it,
11th Street stays open?
I see it being used for local east-west connection.
Okay.
But I don't see any through traffic going from the west to the east trying to get onto, say, Hamilton or Highway 75. I see it more as a local connector road connecting from east to west, but I don't see any truck traffic. It's not, the grade of it's gonna be difficult because you have to
Yes.
climb up to the
Yep.
east.
Yep.
And with the number of stop signs and stop lights, it's not gonna be attractive for any type of heavy truck traffic.
Will there be any kind of restrictions for heavy trucks to use that road?
We don't have any streets restricted to trucks in Sioux City. I think mine
What
is-
about the ones that say no through traffic?
There's no, those are all taken down.
Those are all taken down?
Because they were deemed to basically be unenforceable because the truck driver just say, well, I made a delivery at this house and unless you didn't, you know. So that was before I came back. They had removed all those signs. We get calls from them all the time.
As part of the design of this street, we've communicated with Heelan that we would continue to hold on-street parking on that section that we open up. So there'll be an opportunity on one side for diagonal and on one side for parallel parking. And so it will help with traffic calming. So it's not going to turn into you're going to have a stop intersection pretty much on either end of that, more than likely. So having any type of straight through traffic, I don't see that being attractive.
Well, who are you meeting with, Jeff?
Royce Raniger, and then most recently we met with Tim Funk.
Okay. Well, he's one of them, one of the two that expressed concern to me,
Who's that?
Tim Funk.
Well, I'm sure he did. They don't
And
want,
another one was a priest.
they don't want it to be a street.
Well, no, they're concerned about the increased traffic adjacent to their school, yeah.
We
But
met-
if you're,
We met with Tim briefly, Marty and I did, I don't know, a few weeks ago. They've invited us to come to one of their next campus planning committee sessions
Okay.
to sit in to make a presentation or answer any questions, and I've yet to hear from them since our last meeting. So
But I just verified with Jeff, it's not in the CIP at this time.
it is not in the 5-year CIP.
I don't even think that's in the out year, is it?
thank you.
Well, it isn't because we didn't know if we could do it, but that doesn't mean it won't make the CIP sheet.
Oh, no, I'm just letting
I
you
would
know.
hope it does because it would be beneficial to at least 90% of our community to have that street punched back through.
Agree with you.
My understanding, the bridge was realigned for that future connection.
Yeah, the original bridge was aligned, it was going north, but then they had to realign it because the new campus, and that was the thought.
Right.
I remember, and that's the discussion we had.
Yep.
I was pretty sure that was
Yep.
kind of at the time I was leaving, that they
Right.
turned it to go east-west, that they thought at some point that would connect back through.
So they know that, though. I mean, when you reach the agreement to go south for that instead of north, they knew 11th Street was opening.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so you know.
Yep. Thanks, Jeff. That's it. Thanks.
I just want to bring up one thing. I spoke at the Litter Dash Saturday, and very impressed.
Was there anybody there?
Oh my God, it was huge.
That was Friday afternoon.
Was it Friday that I was there? Well, it was Friday. That's
I
right,
was
because
about-
you weren't there.
Who were you
I wrote
speaking to on Saturday?
God, well, it was so quiet, but I had a lot of people listening, I thought. Okay, sorry, everybody, it was Friday.
I tell you what.
I forgot where I was
I think
at.
Pete is one of the funniest people I've met.
It all started about
Thank you, Pete.
4:15.
I'm just
I was trying to
catch,
hunt you down. I
I'm just
couldn't
trying to
find
catch
you.
up with the mayor, that's all.
Oh, it's hell true. Okay, anyway, Friday at noon, I was at the Litter Dash event, and I gotta tell you, I was really, really impressed. Last year, they had 1,000 volunteers. This year, they had 1,800 volunteers, and they had 27 groups. I gotta thank Dr. Gosman out there. They got North High kids together. They had 600 kids out. And they had buses, and they were taking these kids to, bussing them around. They went to Outer Drive, Irving School, Northern Valley Crossing, and Leif Erikson Park. It was huge, 600. I mean, 600 in one school. So, and they were all over the whole city. So I want to thank everybody out there. You know, this isn't just for one day a year. We should all be doing this every day of the year, you know, picking up our own trash and helping others doing the same. So if we all did our part, it'd be a great deal. So I just want to thank everybody for being involved. We need that in the city, and we're going to keep getting cleaner. There you go.
Yeah, very good.
Very much.
Very good.
Yeah.
Community.
Good job, guys. I was out of town, or I would have been there.
We thought about you,
I
Bob.
was too.
Yeah, you guys are out of
Needed
town.
vacation.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
good.
that's
Yep,
it.
I'm good.
So I have two things I would say. Number one is this Saturday, there is a mental wellness fair. That's going to be taking place out at Miracle League Field. I believe even the mayor is going to be giving a proclamation out there. It starts at 10 a.m. and goes till 2 p.m. So I would encourage all those listening. It looks like the weather's going to be fantastic. So come out to Miracle League Field at 10 a.m. For the mental wellness fair. The second thing is I asked some of staff to stick around for the council concerns. I am continually, this the second year I've been able to go out to Washington, D.C. To represent the people of Sioux City and advocate for some of the issues that we think our delegation need reminding, even when they sometimes don't listen to us. But I think that our staff does a great job presenting issues that are really important to us and fighting for the things that the city could really benefit from. So I asked staff to be here if they can come up, just to talk a little bit about some of the position papers. I know that a few of you weren't able to make the trip, and I was talking with Pete and Rhonda at an event and just said that it was important, I think, to update you all as well. So I asked if they would be here to give you an update, not only about the position paper, but also about some of the good conversation we had with the delegation and the direction that they gave.
And Councilmember Waters, before they begin, just to outline our schedule, we actually go a day earlier where staff and council members
Thank
meet
you.
with our various representatives from the state of Iowa. We feel that that's a very productive opportunity for us to present our own position papers for city-specific issues. We feel we had a very good year with them and meeting with them this year. And then we spend the rest of the week participating in the chamber activities and the chamber meetings as well. So Dave Carney, Public Works Director, Jill Wanderscheid from Community Development, Marty Doherty from Economic Development, and myself went as staff. And Councilmember Dan Moore and Councilmember Alex Waters went as elected officials.
And I have another commitment. You guys did a great job, and I do think they do listen to us in DC, and you have to go out there and make your case. You did a great job making our case. And I'll tell you who really was really spectacular, in addition to all the people that were involved.
Other than you and Alex, who else?
The Undersecretary, Derek Kahn, Department of Transportation. He's the number 3 person in that department, and he gets it. I mean, he was really talking about projects in Sioux City, and his staff really prepared him, and he really believed what he was saying. You could just tell that he was just really sharp. But I thought all of the ones that came and talked to us, gave a presentation, did really well. So I'd love to stay and listen to this. I'd like to give you some further comments, but maybe I can do that. Do we meet next week?
No.
We don't, why not?
Fifth Monday.
The fifth Monday of the month.
Already?
You gotta be, I'm gonna miss you guys. What's up with that?
I'm gonna have withdrawals because I had so much fun tonight.
Well, we can meet again if you'd like and bring these 4 items that if they can get them on the paper, so whatever.
Yeah,
you
that's
wanna
okay,
do.
Bob.
You'd bring them back next week?
Why don't you go to your meeting?
You'll meet again on Wednesday at the Joint Parking and Skywalk Board meeting as
Oh,
well.
but I can't be there.
Thank you. Thank you.
They got the good pizza.
I might have to miss that one too.
Anyway, please.
So on the infrastructure side, we went out there to talk to them about basic infrastructure funding, not just funding roads, but funding water, sewer, stormwater improvements. Our Hooven Valley corridor and what type of grant funding we could get for that. And then also making sure that with all the emphasis on infrastructure funding, that they Terry's discussion, sounds like they've really realized that that was an issue and should have got that straightened out. So we'll see how that goes. I will be contacting his office because they did say they thought they could help us get that core permit, which I wish that's something I would have known 6 months ago because that would have been great. I think we also had a ton of positive response about the Hooven Valley plan, which included reapplying, which the NOFA came out today for now, it's no longer Tiger, but it's called Build.
It's called Build now, not
Build,
Tiger.
yep,
Build.
came out today, which I was surprised that he didn't tell us that they were changing the name on it, but the NOFA came out today, so we'll be preparing the 18th Street Viaduct project for a Build grant.
Build a bridge over the bike bridge over the Missouri, but
Well, we can do whatever you guys
Exactly, yeah.
want. I think we just
I think more
politically put
discussions
our,
need to happen in regard to the project, but I think he was very supportive in regard to our applying for these different grants. And I talked to them about different riverfront development and other opportunities, and they were very supportive with that.
Yeah.
So I agree, there's more conversation obviously that needs to take place, but I appreciated that he was extraordinarily receptive.
and I do believe our representatives are very interested in King's office and Ernst's office want to come and look at the Old Floyd Channel, which is something we kind of emphasize with our local officials about the need for that to be taken care of. That really
they might want to remind Chuck Grassley, our distinguished senior senator, that Cedar Rapids, Burlington, and Cedar Rapids again have been the recipients of Tiger grants. It would be nice to see one on the western side of the state.
For the riverfront?
For anything. They've been pumping that money, and don't tell me that those senators don't have input into that, because they do.
One thing we learned, Mayor, was the Tiger grant funding's been tripled for this next round.
I'm just saying, that money has not seen west of 35.
I agree.
That's unacceptable. As a senator, you need to remember there's two sides to the state, and they seem to forget that when they're lobbying, and he did, I can tell you, he didn't make any bones that he lobbied for that deal in Burlington. So we need to remind him that we need a little help here.
I couldn't agree more. And I thought that we really went to bat for that project. Not to cut away from what you were saying earlier, I thought that they were really receptive to the Floyd Channel project as well. That's something that I think is important for me, just because I'm looking at future development of that area. I think there's a lot of opportunity. We've talked about the railroad. We talked about the Gordon Drive Viaduct. I mean, I think there are a lot of components there, and everyone from the Undersecretary to Senator Ernst, I thought were really open about having that discussion.
And I, of course, focused on HUD-funded programs that we have here in Sioux City. So talked about CDBG, home, and the Section 8 program as well. Gave some examples of how we use that funding. Talked about how we were happy to see those programs plussed up for 18 and hope that those positive discussions continue for FY19 because they're starting that budget process right now. And then also I had a side meeting with HUD. The last time we were there, we have a NOFA coming out for the lead hazard control grant. Again, it's already been almost 3 years since we received our last grant, so talked a little bit about how great our grant is going here and how we'd like to see some more funding here this year.
Yeah, I thought I'd hit a few highlights too. We did our best to keep up with Alex the whole time he was there. He moves pretty fast.
Say that again?
I said we did our best to keep up with you.
Oh yeah, I was kind of flying around.
I thought it was a great trip. We really had an opportunity to meet with I think all of the senators and representatives from the 3-state area, which I think is invaluable, along with a number of key administrative officials like Undersecretary Khan has been discussed. So I think it's great when we're talking to these representatives and senators and administrative people, when you're talking about issues like workforce, and we're with a number of the leading employers, largest employers from our community, were with us. I think that makes a difference, along with the educators at all levels as well. So we had an opportunity to meet with General L'Engle, who is the chief of the National Guard Bureau for the entire country, member of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. So we were accompanied by General Orr and Colonel Christensen on that meeting, which was, I think, impressive group of people to be able to meet with. And we stressed our community support for the Guard and our interest in any future growth that might occur here, and mission changes and so on. I think that kind of thing is really invaluable. Of course, they're one of our largest employers as well. Secretary Khan, we had a opportunity to talk about potential infrastructure. It's unclear exactly where that's headed right now, whether it's through the traditional appropriation process or some larger infrastructure bill. But one of the issues, in addition to what's already been mentioned, was with Tiger, was the definitions of rural. There's a potential for a large rural set aside in that, and that at the moment that first definition does not include cities in over 50,000. So we talked about that a lot. I know Senator Ernst mentioned that she would look into that. So and so we had a good discussion about that. Covered a lot of other issues. We talked to a trade representative, Greg Walters, at the White House, which was interesting to hear their perspective on that. It's an issue of a lot of importance to businesses in our area, of course, with exports. Opportunity Zone, and as you know, the governor's nominated us, and I guess I didn't realize Senator Ernst had a big part in co-sponsoring that original legislation, so she was happy to hear an update on that. Talked about essential air service. Jill mentioned all the HUD programs, and EDA and health insurance and tax law as well. So we covered a lot of ground. I think it's a great trip, great opportunity to interact and build relationships with the staffs and the senators and representatives. And so it was, I think, a well worthwhile trip. So.
I would just agree, and I would just underline and reiterate. I remember feeling that way last year when we went, but I'm just very proud of the work that all of you do and the way that you represent the city. I think that it's something that does have a lot of benefit, and you heard a lot of their ideas and plans, and some of them were really going to be proactive, I hope. And I would just urge you all to please follow up on those leads. I think especially, with opportunity zones coming out, Marty, I hope you send an email, just thanking or updating, especially Senator and staff, of what happened. As far as the portability, I think that we need to continue holding their feet to the fire of saying that that's an issue. And coming up, Senator Ernst's office was saying about how we need to have, I think it was her, saying we needed to have ideas for how to fix that. And so working to continue that. And then Mr. Carney, I think it's preaching to the choir that we need to make sure that we're continuing the discussion, whether we're looking at the viaduct or especially with the Floyd channel. That's something that, as long as it's in the forefront of their mind, that's the business that I'm in, is just keep in front of them. So I hope that you guys will do that as well, because I think, especially with Undersecretary Khan, he seemed very open to coming out here. And I think having that vision and talking about what else we could be doing and what we might need to be thinking about would be a great opportunity. Did you get that impression? I thought he'd be open to maybe coming back. So anyway,
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you all
Thank
very
you.
much.
Yes, thank you.
That's all I got.
Something that came up today that really does concern me, and I know you're going to say I'm picking on the school, but I can do that without having it be another issue. We should not allow anybody to build on our property until it's their property. We've got a school that's half built up there, and if somebody takes a fall and it happens to be on the property we own, we're in line for a liability claim, and I don't even know if we have a hold harmless agreement for that land.
And I will check with city staff to see where the construction is taking place in relation to that portion. That was to be
I guarantee you
transferred.
that whole lot is covered. There's not an empty foot up there right now that's not being covered up there. You drive by it.
Are you talking about Brian?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, there's no way that's not in the mix, so. And I had a major industrial user. Do we not meet monthly, quarterly with them anymore? Because if we don't, I think that's a missed opportunity. I think that when we are having issues and the sewer rates that may be going up and that, I think it's very incumbent upon us to meet regularly.
Yes, Mayor, we meet with them. It's not monthly or quarterly, it's
basically as needed, but we've had 3 meetings, I think, this year, or the 3rd meeting is coming up this Thursday.
Okay, and everybody's being invited.
We asked for, we have major meetings probably annually, and then we've asked for those that are interested to give us their names and their contact information, and then we invite
You'll
them to
send
kind
that
of use
out
your
to
group
them to
meetings.
make sure they understand that. Will you send a letter to all the major industrial users so they understand that they're welcome to come to those meetings?
Absolutely.
An open invitation, I agree with that.
Yeah, that they, if they have a concern, that, okay, I just want to make sure we're
Absolutely.
doing that. Thank you. I move we adjourn.
Second.
Scott?
Yeah.
Waters?
Aye.
Capron?
Aye.
Greckin?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.